And I'm an urban planner, and for about the last 100 years, my profession has virtually ignored the food system as a field of study, a field of research, and a field of practice. You've heard that food is a social justice issue, it's a public health issue, it's also an economic development issue, it's a transportation issue, it's a regional planning issue, it's an ecological issue. It's all of these things that planners are uniquely trained to think about holistically and figure out solutions to. And yet the planning profession has, until very recently, ignored the food system as a system. So my work is in really trying to work with my colleagues to reintegrate food into the work that we do as planners. The last time there was a comprehensive look at food in New York City as a planning issue was a book written by a guy named Walter Hedden, How Great Cities Are Fed, in 1929. Coming on the heels of a threatened national railroad strike, the Port Authority woke up and realized that if there was this strike, New York City would go hungry. And it began to look at where we get our food from. And Walter Hedden was the first person who estimated that food takes 1,500 miles to get from farm to plate. We hear that number repeated over and over again. It hasn't really changed much in the last 80 years. And Walter Hedden was also the first person to coin the term food shed, recognizing that like a milk shed in 1929, most milk came very local. Food was also coming from specific areas that planners could really identify and should begin to, according to Hedden, think about planning for. And so what I hope we begin to do in the city, and this audience is really on the front lines of this effort, is to begin to use our design skills and our planning skills to think about solutions to the problems that Joel and others have pointed out of hunger, but also the problems of farmers in the Catskills and Hudson Valley not being able to afford to keep their farms in farming, and communities like the neighborhood of Hunts Point in the Bronx besieged by truck traffic because our city hasn't invested in the sustainable transportation infrastructure to move food from farm to table. So that's the little bit of work that I do on the food system.